Testing 1 2 3. We got a lot of people in here. I gotta entertain some people. Whenever the stream starts off with more people, it's like I gotta entertain people. What's going on, guys? We've had a very weird weather day. It was like bright sunny, like crazy sunny with no clouds at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I went out at like 6 o'clock, like 2 hours ago, and it's just totally overcast. It's like completely overcast, completely dark. It's very weird. Mark Carney up to 72% chance on Polymarket. Or I'm about to take like an energy drink. I'm gonna start buying energy drinks or something, get in the zone for these streams. But yeah, Carney is he's looking good. We'll see. There's been reports that some of the polls are fake though. Justice for Austin Metcalf. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Another one of those stories. And now they're not being silenced because Musk has X, and people are going to be able to talk about those type of things, that black on white crime. You bought a meme coin? Well, it depends which one you bought. But yeah, it's a good time to buy, probably. I don't know. Yeah, my audio was muted there for a second just because I had to replug it in because I had my mic plugged into the other computer. Hopefully you didn't drink a lot of water. No, I should be fine for a while. Thoughts on leftists accusing Elon and his family of having supported and benefited from apartheid in South Africa. Saw a video on YouTube saying they apparently did a deep dive. Well, I don't really know the full history on Musk's family. But I mean, with Musk, it's, to me, he's such a massive figure, something like that, I feel like it wouldn't be a pebble in terms of the stuff that he gets thrown at. Seems kind of irrelevant. 5-hour energy. I never had a 5-hour energy. I used to have energy drinks. I'd be able to drink 300 milligrams very easily. But I'll tell you what, if I drink an energy drink, there's something about it, and I don't work out, I do get really jittery. And it's like, because it is a drug. I mean, I guess it depends. I used to be able to drink a lot more caffeine than I'm able to now. Couldn't Trump find some other way to lower interest rates and bring in manufacturing? Well, potentially it would have been a drawn-out process that would have taken 2 or 3 years. Trump is basically ripping the Band-Aid off, and you can see U.S. recession in 2025. See, I think this is an overreaction. I said this, it's an overreaction. Place your bet. Well, you know what? I don't have a VPN. I'm not gonna place a bet on Polymarket. I don't have a VPN. But yeah, I think this is an overreaction. From what I've heard, it's probably going to be a positive Q1 GDP, like plus 0.5. It's barely going to be positive, but it's either going to be barely positive or barely negative. If it's barely negative, then liberals will run with recession, and we'll know. I think on the 10th is when those numbers come out. Rand Paul is crying. Yeah, Rand Paul is very against the auto tariffs in specific, I know. Why does Gavin think that countries are going to take his words seriously? They're more worried about their own interests in trade and pissing off Trump is the last thing they want to do. Well, yeah, a lot of these countries are coming to the negotiating table begging, and we've got an update on this situation right here. But we've got Trump with his attack of the Houthis there, but oil is down. Trump says every country is negotiating. I don't know why this thing keeps... It's like it doesn't show it in order. I really should just bookmark this shit rather than do this because it never shows it in order. I don't know where it is, but a lot of countries are coming out trying to negotiate. Vietnam, India, obviously, Israel. A lot of countries want the tariffs removed. They're trying to negotiate with Trump right now. Trump should have been helping Pierre right now. It's not like he'd also crush Pierre. Canada cannot possibly win a trade war against the U.S. regardless of whether it's a lib or... Yeah, I mean, I think it's irrelevant. But if you're Trump, you probably want the liberal in power. But I mean, Trump helping Pierre, Trump is an explosive... He's radioactive to liberals. So he really, if he wanted to help Pierre, he would be cozying up to Carney, which he kind of is. But I mean, obviously, when you talk about annexing Canada, that's not a very good look. You see how mad Ben Shapiro is about the tariffs? No, I really haven't heard much from Shapiro. Is he not happy about the tariffs? I might have seen something where he criticized them, but it didn't seem like a very crazy criticism. But maybe I didn't see the correct thing with Shapiro. But Shapiro's got a lot to deal with the Daily Wire stuff, and now he's out criticizing Trump. Really, with how pro-Israel Trump is, Shapiro should be very happy with Trump. We got to deal with this now from Shapiro, seriously. Russell Brand is like another Andrew Tate. Well, this is the problem. And people are criticizing Charlie Kirk for coming to the defense of Brand, but it's these charges 25 years later. It's the E. Jean Carroll thing all over again. This is 20 years after the fact. And now they're hitting these conservatives, multiple conservatives with charges like this. It's the same playbook. It's a character smear that they use, and they say, well, you've been accused of this, so we can say you're guilty because we don't like your politics, and it doesn't matter. Best and worst case scenario with the tariffs? Well, the worst case scenario would be, I mean, I can't see. They always say, well, they're just going to find other trading partners. There's no consumer base like the United States. Where are you finding our consumer base? This is seriously, I was trying to tell people this on X. You're not going to find another consumer base anywhere close to as big or as wealthy as the United States consumer base is. It's not replaceable. You cannot replace it with China. It's constantly, they're just going to trade with China. China is a massive exporter to the United States. So we import, we buy their shit. They're not buying shit from other countries. They don't have the consumer base that's wealthy enough to be able to do that. But it would be, I guess, the countries, I mean, you know, the EU and Canada having a relationship, Canada and China. But I mean, that's not going to happen because they're both tariffing each other, Canada and China. But it would be just basically countries forming different. I mean, this is the problem. If you tariff every country, they're going to start looking to each other rather than do strategic tariffs against certain countries. But listen, I understand what Trump is doing. He's ripping the Band-Aid off. Shapiro not happy about the 17% tariffs on Israel. Well, yeah, that was like one of the things, and I kind of tweeted it out as a joke. Dude, you gotta see this. Some people, I wonder if people actually knew that I was, I mean, I was, you know, because people just, where is this? Trump stands up to Israel. Yeah, people were not happy about this. I mean, it was kind of a joke, honestly. But anytime I could tweet something out like that, I think it's a funny thing to do. Is crypto over? What's the current play? No, it's not over. I want to see how the interest. I mean, we could still get a bull run at the end of the year, depending on what happens. I mean, I think Bitcoin will still do very well. But we have to have a better economic environment. But we're getting the lower rates probably in June. You know, I want to look at the updated rates. The rates are like, you know, they're talking about no change down to 69% chance. Yeah, we get this decrease in June. I mean, we're still looking on track for a bull run in the fall to the early winter. Yeah, I have seen the early reports of, especially the cars. There's a lot of production that's being picked up or is planning to be picked up in the United States. And that has to happen with these tariffs in place if Trump plans on keeping them. And Trump is going to keep a lot of the tariffs. Look, they got this whole thing set up for the Canadian election. Oh, they got this. Yeah, Quebec is just a cesspool. So is Ontario. I mean, these are the three. It's really these two are more conservative. Manitoba's a little bit like 50-50. Did you see Ian Carroll expose RFK Jr.? Well, I saw last week he said that he had a big scoop and that it was going to come out over the weekend and it never happened. That's what I saw. He said, well, RFK Jr. is being controlled because he hangs out with Rabbi Shmuley and, he's promoting all this Israel stuff on anti-Semitism and things like that. And it is weird, but I mean, he said that there was going to be a big thing coming out about their blackmail by Israel involving some woman. I mean, have we seen any of that actually come out? It's like him and Candace Owens. It's the constant thing with them, and they do a little meet and greet, podcast together. I mean, I don't know. Maybe something comes out. Are you a theme park guy? Thoughts on Epic Universe? Well, I know of several theme parks. I don't know what Epic Universe is though. I can't say I'm not certainly not an expert in theme parks. China hit us hard today. Well, they did a reciprocal 34%. It doesn't matter. I mean, when you look at the trade difference, the deficit we have with them, they're going to be hit way more harder. This is going to really hurt China. I'm not going to say it's going to cripple them because they've got too big of an economy to say that. But this 54% tariff on China is really going to hurt them. They're very reliant on us buying their shit. And obviously, the companies oblige because it's cheaper and they undercut us in prices. But with these tariffs, it's going to change things. Even though Ontario's traditionally lib, the premier governor is a progressive conservative, whatever the fuck that is, and has the super progressive conservative, like the Democratic Republican. It's funny. It's like doublespeak. Imagine being so dumb you think the US needs other countries to thrive. Well, no, I agree with you, but there is also awareness to understand other countries do produce things that we cannot produce at the same level. And especially, like, I do want certain trade with Canada and Mexico just because of their geographical location within North America. I think that's something that should continue. But relying on countries across oceans is very tricky. That's you're not going to be able to rely on that supply chain during, for example, a pandemic. Why is everyone freaking out over a 10% sell off? Well, it's all psyoped by the liberal media to say, like, oh, this is horrible, it's awful. And these are all major corporations that they're supposed to hate, these multi-billion-dollar corporations. Oh, look at what happened to all the huge multi-billion-dollar companies. I thought you hated those. But no, they like them now because they can use it as like this political play against Trump. Listen, I'm not trying to say the markets are doing well. They're certainly not. I'm not going to. But the other thing that people have to understand, it's like, well, since Trump took office, everything is down. Well, technically, the markets in crypto went way up when Trump won. It was extremely bullish. But they don't give Trump credit for that because that's technically Biden's lame duck period, so he gets credit for it. And they're like, well, since Inauguration Day, things have been down. I know things are down. The things are going to be down. With this current strategy that Trump is implementing, of course it's going to go down. He's been wishy-washy on tariffs, and now he implements these mass tariffs on every import into the United States at least 10%. Things are going to go down. It's a short period of time. What do you think of Powell's comments? Well, Powell's always had a sour relationship with Trump, and Trump said that he needs to lower the interest rates today in a Truth Social, and then Powell says, Powell just says all the trendy lib talking points like it's going to cause inflation, and it's all the same bullshit with him. There's a lot of animosity there against Trump. 10% swing in the stock market is way different than 10% in crypto. No, I hear you. We really shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't compare the stock market to crypto. A Canadian progressive conservative is the equivalent of a mainline Democrat. Yeah, no, anyone in the middle in Canada is a liberal. The Supreme Court just sided with Trump 5-4. It should be 6-3, allowing him to freeze millions in DEI education grants. Yeah, those should be 6-3 rulings. Will the Fed unleash credit again and lower rates? Yeah, we hope they lower rates, hopefully within the next 2 months. Uh, Orion, thank you for that. Lost over 15,000 the last 2 days, but you'll trust the process. Well, yeah, you wouldn't believe. I mean, recently I haven't lost as much because it's already so down. It can't go down any further in crypto. But yeah, I've lost a lot of money, and I just, you just have to keep going. It is what it is. It's it's just an unfortunate timing. A retard finder. That remember that's an X account. Do you think arresting Trump officials would make the Democrats? Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, I think the Democrats are trying to cling for any power that they have right now. They've got so little governing power federally because they don't have any. They don't have either chamber. They don't have the presidency. They're trying to cling to anything. Stocks will have a comeback, of course. But I mean, this is the sell-off. People are mad. I mean, you look at this. It's not gonna be pretty. Oh, oh. Yeah, I mean, this is it's I can understand people being mad at this. I really can. But this was bound to happen. And Trump just, accelerated it, sped up the process. But this will be a sell-off. I think. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter in terms of the micro, but they're gonna rebound eventually. What do you think about the Wisconsin Supreme Court election win for the Liberals? It was a bad performance. They were expected to win, but not by 10 points. It's not a good performance. But I mean, that's a local thing. And they've been trying to use that now. Liberals have as like, oh, they hate Doge and all this stuff because Musk went out and campaigned for it. No, those are like local, really condensed races, and that's not a referendum against Doge or anything. You don't understand how these local elections work if you think that. The normie language isn't working. Time for conservatives to up the rhetoric like Trump used. Yeah, I mean, I have seen Paul Vier come out and start talking about illegal immigration and all that stuff. That seems to help a little bit in that election. That's a strike on the Houthis by the United States. Trump showing it off on, I think he posted it on X as well. If tariffs don't work, then why are nations tariffing the United States? Well, what other nations are doing is a lot different than what Trump is doing. If we do have to be fair about that. A lot of the tariffs are it's a strategical thing, but I agree with Trump. This is like 4D 1,000 IQ. You have to rip the band-aid off and go crazy with the tariffs. But normally tariffs are used in a strategical fashion. You don't blanket tariff, 100 countries, but you have to, with where we're at right now, and he's trying to speed up these rate cuts as fast as possible rather than doing this jousting thing to where it's, oh, we'll tariff like 3 countries. This is going to cause economic downturn. It should cause lower inflation, and it will. But they're like, oh, the inflation's going to go up. You don't know that. You have zero clue, and I don't even understand how inflation's going to go up, at least in the short term. It's not because of this stock situation. There's no way. Tariffs are useful as a negotiating tool, but they are indeed a loss in the long run. Well, it depends what country you're talking about on whether you think they're a loss or not. Some of these tariffs are going to stay in place. We'll see what happens with China. I think Trump is probably going to, I don't know what Trump's obsession is with TikTok and what that is, but it's like he's leveraging these tariffs and saying, we'll remove some of the tariffs if you give us rights to TikTok or some shit. I don't know what's going on there. Something about TikTok, and, he's going to negotiate using the tariffs, and Your big issue of their chart of tariff rates was absolute BS. Well, yeah, it's the trading deficit we have with those countries. Trump needs now to push tax cuts ASAP. Yeah, well, that's part of his bill that's going to come out probably in like a Q2, probably start of Q3. He's going to come out with his budget, and that's what's going to include the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime. You know, there was a report that Trump was going to have to start taxing the ultra rich a little bit more to because we need to get revenue somehow, because I mean we're already at a $2 trillion deficit as it is. Trump has promised these cuts, and they're going to happen. We know they're going to happen because Trump promised them, and they were a big part of the campaign, and he's putting them in place. It's been rumored. The no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime. Look at the income tax. Look at the dividend, things like that. China said they're not selling TikTok. Well, it's the leverage with China. They're going to hang on to it, and then they're going to say the United States has to move the tariffs down or negotiate that way. Did you hear he got those tariff percent? Well, that's what I just said. I said it was the deficit. Trump's loyal to TikTokers that voted for him. He's very loyal to supporters. Yeah, I don't know if I really buy that. What's with the TikTok obsession? I think TikTok's very bad for young people. I know it turned into this whole thing. Well, it's a lot of pro-Palestinian people on there, anti-Israel, and then it's like, well, if you're against TikTok, you're pro-Israel. No, I'm just against it because it kills kids' attention spans, and I want to see studies done on that. Rand Paul was on the Senate floor today bitching. Well, yeah, I know Rand doesn't like it. Doesn't like the auto tariffs. Physical gold coin, and you faded last stream if you got in an easy 10x. I highly doubt that. Is it at 5 million? Because you know it was at 200K when I showed. It was at like 300K. So it's at 10 million now? Seriously? I doubt that. Ridiculous the amount of money the Biden administration printed. Well, it was totally out of control. I mean, you could kind of understand some of it because it was a crazy situation with COVID, but yeah, it was out of control. Oh man, they're talking about Greenland, really?
Hey guys, it was another very busy week. There were some historic announcements, so let's roll through it for the MAGA Minute. This week, Vice President J.D. Vance and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz took a trip to Greenland to reaffirm the United States' support for the territory. The president signed an executive order to eliminate predatory ticket resellers from the live entertainment market, which will put entertainment consumers first. And he was there with the one and only Kid Rock. The president signed an executive order to establish an investment accelerator to bring in more investments here in the United States. And Liberation Day arrived, with President Trump implementing a 10% global tariff and additional reciprocal tariffs on countries around the world who have been ripping off the United States of America and our workforce. The president sent a very strong message that Americans will no longer be taken advantage of by globalist trade policies. It's the golden rule for the golden age of American economic prosperity. We will see you for next week's MAGA Minute. Hey guys.
Well, I mean, that's funny how they classify the Greenland stuff. And yeah, the tariffs, they're really not reciprocal. It's based off of a trade deficit. But you can understand the framing of the Trump administration. It's propaganda. Does Caroline Levitt control rapid response? I doubt it. It's probably some staffer. She talks like AI. Well, when you're reading off a script like that and you have to present yourself, it's... Yeah, here it is. Supreme Court allows Trump to terminate teacher training grants as part of anti-DEI. You can only pick one, invest in crypto dip or stock. I mispronounced that. Crypto dip or stock market dip. I mean, you're asking the wrong guy. For me, it's crypto, but you know, I'm biased towards crypto. And also, I guess it depends on how much money you have and your risk tolerance. Europeans are big mad at America. Yeah, it looks like they're ready for a trade war with the United States. It really does. They're saying they're not backing down, and they're going to be hitting back with their own reciprocals against Trump. But it looks like the UK and Starmer came out and said they're ready to negotiate. Obviously, the EU is different. You're glad the stock market is crashing? Well, I mean, it's obviously a reset. If you were in Canada, who would you vote for? Paul Dare. So we pull out of NATO. Yeah, did you see what the recent stuff is coming out that where they're going to hit Elon Musk with $1 billion fine for misinformation? It's absurd. It is insane. Gavin Newsom trying to go behind Trump's back, doing a strategic alliance regarding trade. Yeah, it's just all performance art, man. It's all irrelevant performance art. He can't do that. You can't. It's not allowed according to the Constitution for any single state to do that. We need to let Euro bros fight their own wars. Yeah, you talk about Ukraine. I mean, no, I agree with you. And I mean, it is a little bit more complicated than that. But it's not like Russia is this crazy threat, anyways. The U.S. kind of acts as a deterrent, but obviously, this situation, it's like a proxy war with Russia, so it's something that needs to end, and Trump has come in. And I mean, it's always been really a proxy war between the EU and between Russia and NATO. What happened to no tax on tips? He hasn't come out with his budget yet. You got to wait for that. Albertan here hope to become an American soon when Pierre loses the election here. Love the channel. Yeah, we'll be watching that for sure if Carney wins. And look, I don't know if those polls are real or fake or what, but it does look like I mean, it's about 72-28 right now. Yeah, BC's flipped back to the liberals. Liberal majority, the heavy favorite right now. So we'll see. Maybe it'll change back. I mean, I can't really see Carney being loved too much. It's just a very liberal country, so that's the reason. Bro, I mean, these comments, man, it's like, I mean, come on, man. You know, I give you like 5 or 6 times to where you do it, but then it's like, after that, come on. Did I see Ted Cruz tweets? I'll take a look at it, man. These politicians always have dual accounts. Or 2 accounts. Is this the tweet you're talking about? We will find you, and we will kill you. What did they think that meant? Yeah, I mean, it was I'm not a big fan of escalation, but this is more of an international thing. It's international waters. They were disrupting it. But I mean, it always comes back to Israel. NDP are voting liberal. Yeah, I've heard that. Because they don't want the conservatives in power, so they just switch over to liberal. I mean, they are liberal. It's going to be a conservative minority. Well, that would be a very close win then. People inside the Carney Cap have said he will totally cave to Trump. He needs the trade war and his sham banking career. I know, dude, his background is horrible too. The governor of the Bank of England, governor of Bank of Canada. Just a banker, a legit banker. It takes over a month, as prime minister, and now is possibly going to win and give them majority power there. Every time you buy stock, you wish you waited longer. Dips seem never ending. Yeah, I mean, if you zoom out, it's really not. I know what you're saying though, because you think, well, yesterday's the bottom, and then today we have another. They're still obviously adjusting to the amount of tariffs that Trump's gonna be. But when Trump starts taking off these tariffs, and he's gonna keep some of them on for sure, but some of them are gonna be negotiated off. At least parts of them will be. Globalist, Carney, any liberal is gonna be in Canada a globalist. That's like part of the entire ideology. Should Congress have tariff oversight? Well, I mean, a lot of these tariffs would never go into place if that happened. But no, I mean, this is executive authority. Do you think Trump would want Carney to win? Yeah. But you want the liberal to win mainly because they're more likely to, you don't want to say, but not put their country over yours. You want to have the best benefit, rather than selfishness. The conservatives would be more selfish in terms of putting Canada first. The liberals would be more open to working with us and probably giving us a significantly better deal. Why is Gavin Newsom acting like a prime minister of an EU country? Yeah, it's all. He wants to be the one to stand up to Trump. It's like this cosplay thing with him. It's really odd. But so he puts that out because a lot of these liberal states that do a lot of heavy lifting for the U.S. economy are starting to realize they're getting a really raw deal. Because this is just their ideology. It's high taxes. It's soft on crime because you don't want to be racist. It's a horrible combination. So all these white people are leaving the states and they're starting to realize, oh shit. I mean, it is 14% of the GDP California contributes, but their state is turning into a shithole that's just completely crime infested. There's a bunch of illegals in it. So they're pissed off and they're like, well, how can we use the power of our state against Trump? But with Newsom, it's like this weird cosplay, anti-Trump, new age Democrat, but it just doesn't work because he's a coastal elite. I always thought Canadians were cool, but apparently they are very anti-American and don't like us from what I've heard. Well, it depends where of course they're going to be very anti-American. These are very liberal people. A lot of them relate more to the European countries and how liberal they are than what we do. I mean, we're a lot more conservative than Canada. It depends what province you're in Canada. But most of the Canadians are going to hate us or dislike Trump and anyone that likes Trump for sure. They're a little Europe. That's what I said, basically. You lost the streak? Dude, I lost a streak like 2 weeks ago. Maybe I'll try another streak. I'm not ready to commit to one, though. There's no way. Not right now. Newsom thinks he's going to be the nominee. It's very unlikely. I don't know who is it going to be. They're going to bring someone like Jon Stewart in. I can pretty much guarantee it. I mean, did you guys see the PBD thing with Sam Cedar and Sam Cedar not really know anyone? He's like, oh, no. It's like, dude, just say Jon Stewart. We know you want to. But Sam Cedar goes on PBD and tries to argue for the 90% tax on rich people. This is a grown-ass man arguing for this tax plan. It's absurd. It's like it's like a social. With these people, they always say, well, we're just socialists, we're not communist. And I actually believe he is a socialist, but a lot of them mask the communism and say they're socialist. What are your top states for California, New York, refugees, people leaving? People that leave New York, I believe, tend to go to either North Carolina or Florida, mainly Florida. People that leave California tend to go to Colorado. Utah also gets some in the suburbs. Dying boomers are about to ruin everything for Gen Z in Canada. I saw that. I saw everyone outside of boomers is voting more conservative in Canada. Is like voting for the Conservative Party at a higher rate than the Liberal Party. But the boomers are going but the boomers in the United States are also getting more liberal as well. How are we better off today than when Biden left? Well, that's an irrelevant. You're talking about 2.5, 3 months. It's an irrelevant time frame. You cannot take a snapshot of where Trump is 5% into his administration and say, well, we're worse off because all the bad stuff has happened, because these are tariffs, and tariffs are a long-term game with a short-term net negative. So obviously it's going to look worse in the short term. But it's an unfair assessment of grading Trump, because you're talking about Trump. Yes, he's implementing something. And by the way, shouldn't these people commend and be like, well, Trump, that's actually a good thing? You'd think Trump, because they say he's selfish, would do all of this like immediate false economic stimulation, but he's not doing it. He's actually hurting the economy for a better future for the country with more domestic production. You've had some coworkers today say I appreciate the $10, man, Swift. You've had some coworkers today say the reciprocal tariff chart Trump presented had false percentages. Were the percentages accurate, or maybe their sources were left-wing fact checkers with bias? Well, basically, what the chart presented was it's not the reciprocal. We're not getting hit with tariffs like that from other countries. What it is, it's the trade deficit we have with other countries. That's what it is. So when you see, like, what was it, 90%? We're not getting a 90% tariff, we're on American goods from Venezuela or whatever country that was. Our trading deficit is 90%. I believe that's what it is. But it's also, it's like a formula. It's like they do a number of things, but it's mainly the trading deficit with the countries. And then Trump presented it as the amount of tariffs those countries are putting onto our countries as a propaganda tactic. That's about as best as I can explain it. But there is an actual, you can look at like the formula that he used. Would we have to, well, there's a lot of corrupt spending. There's a lot of corrupt spending in the Pentagon that needs to be looked at. Hopefully they will. Doge needs to start looking at that. What's the deal with Anna Luna and MTG beef? It's another cat fight. I mean, I think it was because, it's the women rights, being able to remote voting or something in Congress. Yeah, there it is. It's exactly what it is. You're right. I mean, come on, guys, like, these comments, I mean, I guess it's abstract. We'll say it's abstract. Too many Californians are going to Idaho. You see that graph that I posted on X? I'll go to it right now. The rent. Look at this. Look at the rent on this stuff. Major lib cities are overrun cesspools. Whites are fleeing to Montana and Idaho. Rent is skyrocketing. 25% rental increase. in Idaho and Montana. Because the cities, and now Bozeman is like this huge hub, even more so than Billings, and Boise is just turning into this liberal mix of conservatives there. It's they're starting to invade, and you got to really be careful about that in the Great Plains. It's a problem. All these liberals don't. Well, you want to know what it is, man? Let me see this comment. All these liberals don't understand trade or basic economics. They only know hysteric. Yeah. Well, they're just gonna hate Trump no matter what. Even if Trump did something to where it was targeted specifically industry based at 4 or 5 countries, they would still criticize it. So you're not gonna win with them. They either criticize. Remember the whole thing. Eggs is the best example. We never said anything about eggs or egg prices under Biden or whatever. But they come out and they say, this is horrible. What is Trump doing since he came in office? Eggs are skyrocketing. This is disgusting. Now eggs are way down. They're lower. Eggs are lower from when Trump came in on average. They won't talk about it. So see how it's this mass hysteria farming that they do. And then when something improves, they just forget about it. So no matter what Trump does with tariffs, they're going to hate it. It is what it is. They're going to say it's the worst thing. I mean, but to be fair, this is a seismic move by Trump. This is ripping the proverbial Band-Aid off. Vegas is getting invaded. Well, I mean, Vegas is a transplant hotbed anyways. But the suburbs, you mean? MTG. Well, yeah, MTG is she had a really obnoxious answer to this lady. She's just an obnoxious woman, but that's like the Trump loyalist syndrome. And then she fights with like Laura Loomer and they fight over Trump, and it's just really odd. You bought Nike? Didn't Nike go way up? Or maybe I got that wrong. I know it went down significantly like 2 days ago because there was a rumor about Trump's tariffs, but now I think it went back up because they're trying to negotiate out of the tariff. Juan, what's up, man? Conservatives do the same. Israel? Well, no, I've called out Trump and his support of Israel. And a lot of people have, and Trump gets a lot of hate for Israel. Yeah, the people in Congress are more neoconish, and they're obsessed with Israel and stuff. I agree. And it's a problem within the party. I don't know how long it's going to take to rid of it, but we call out Trump and his support of Israel. And listen, if something happens with Iran, Trump is not going to be, it's not going to go well for Trump. At least within segments of the Republican Party. You think the US and Canada will merge one day, but it's probably 50 to 100 years away? Well, I mean, it's impossible to predict, a century or half a century away. But I do think in a war situation, they would probably be annexed and they would want it to happen. The problem is they just have such little population based off of the land that they control. So it's like they're a very weak country in that aspect. They're protected by the United States. What's the reaction been with Russell Brand? Well, the left loves it, of course, because he's made the conservative turn, and I mean, it's another conservative getting accused of something that happened 25 years ago. I don't know about it. He's been accused. He's not been found guilty or anything like that, and that's really all we can say. But again, it's these accusations 20 years ago, 2 decades ago. I mean, it's a long time to be holding that and then say that when he gets really big and conservative. It's like, we'll see what comes of it. Did I see the Tucker Carlson interview with who? He does a lot of interviews, Tucker. Any tariffs on Iran? It was every import, so I don't know. It would be a flat probably 10% tariff on them if there was imports, but I don't think there's any. I didn't see. I don't know. Maybe. Hey guys, what's up? Seems like some people are joining here. Nvidia down. Yeah, Nvidia was always ridiculously high. You know, you don't want to say it's overpriced, but you know, it's an AI bubble. But I think Nvidia will go back up. Cost of housing is insane. Yeah, and hopefully that gets corrected with taking some of these illegals out of the equation and less competition for housing. But also, this will also correct it a weakened dollar. A friend of yours who rents paid $1,300 for a place in 2016. It's now 23. And well, it's 75-80% increase. I mean, 23 it must be a pretty nice. You know, one of the things that people are switching to, it's townhomes. It's not necessarily the apartments. You're in an apartment with a bunch of other people. You have to deal with their noise and things like that. It's not something you want to look at. I've been seeing a lot of townhomes built in cities that are expanding, and they build the townhomes on like the outskirts of the city. There's a lot of that happening in these mid-tier cities in the U.S. It's a lot of like Midwest, Great Plains type construction. You see a lot of these townhomes get built. Although California does have a large economy, the actual state budget spending is out of control. The state is practically going bankrupt. Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the amount of taxes that their citizens pay to the federal government. Any story time videos coming? I mean, I could definitely do one if I wanted to. Maybe I'll do one of these times. Only losers rent. Well, it just depends on the. I mean, renting makes sense if you're younger for sure. You don't want to tether yourself into a property for and then have to worry about selling it, things like that. I mean, renting it's a younger person thing, and then you should give it up unless you own properties as rentals. Saw on X the UK wants to negotiate a trade. I know, I saw that too. I saw Starmer. There was a statement about it. So the UK wants to negotiate. Look, we'll see what Trump wants to do in terms of this. He can spin it as a win if he. I mean, the thing is let's just see what happens between Canada and Mexico. Those are our biggest trading partners. So if we work out some type of renegotiated deal with them, that's going to ease a lot of pressure off of Trump in terms of all these people saying, well, you've got a trade war with every single country. You can't do that. Well, if our two top partners are in agreement with us and we're trading. But again, for Trump, I think it is a lot of bringing domestic production back to the United States, and so that requires the tariffs to be remain in place. Next stadium video. I know, dude. I was thinking about doing like an MLB attendance video. I don't know, man. I was thinking about doing that. There might be a 9/11 video that comes out tomorrow. Buy a house. The market is terrible for that. You see what Musk did today with SpaceX? No, I didn't see it. Buying real estate low is a great move for a young person if the numbers add up. Yeah, I never got into real estate. I think it has to do with maintaining properties and things like that. That's why I never really got into it. The astronauts are with Musk. Oh, they did an interview. Yeah, the astronauts have been great, and they have said that Musk saved them, and the liberal psyop was totally false about where liberals said, no, it's not true. You know, I remember that happening, and Musk got into an argument with this NASA guy, and Musk was getting ratioed. It was like, are you kidding me? I did a video on this like 2 months ago where Musk was like, he's like, fuck you. I brought these people home. They tried stopping it. And this NASA guy's like, no, that didn't happen. I work for NASA. And it turns out, no, that's exactly what it is. And the astronauts confirmed it. It was Musk, and they tried to stop it, and the Biden administration stopped it. And it was all admitted that the Biden administration didn't want Musk to have a big win right around the election to bring these people home earlier. It's really bad. Russell Brand was at the Diddy parties, though. He kind of folded a few months ago when asked about being... Uh-oh. Well, I didn't know about that. But I mean, listen, when it comes to these, you're accused of something, we got to see it play out. I have no clue about his life, honestly. I don't watch him or anything. Lumber stocks could be a very good play right now. Are they down like significantly more than the rest of the market? Because of the tariff with Canada? You can get a mansion in Virginia for $400K. It depends what you classify as a mansion. It depends how old is the home. What are the appliances of the home? There's a lot that goes into buying a home like that. Yeah, man, dude, I saw the UK wants to renegotiate the deal. I responded to that comment. Florida or Auburn? I hope Auburn wins just because of my bracket or my March Madness picks. Prometheus. Yeah, Prometheus was a great movie. He's right on that. SpaceX Dragon team. They returned and were recovered. They orbited Earth 55 times, passing over the poles every 46 minutes. Wow. Russell did things early in his life as a drug addict, as we all would. He's a good guy now. Well, I mean, we'll see what comes of that. I know it's unfortunate these things come out, and I know what is he on Rumble now? I think he's on Rumble, or is he still on YouTube? I don't know. I don't watch him, but you're going to Houston versus Duke tomorrow since it's 1 hour away. That's a late game as well. I guess in San Antonio, is that game at what, 8:49 Central Time, or 7:49 maybe? Yeah, I think it's 7:49 Central Time. I think it's 8:49 Eastern. Buy the dip. Well, certainly I think it's probably a good buying time, yes. Not financial advice. When will the Minecraft server go live? I'm not Minecraft, man. Are you on live chat or top? I always do live. Optimus coin, good buying opportunity, has potential to 5x. I think it's got more than a 5x. Yeah, I haven't bought any of the Optimus coins yet, but I am looking at them for sure. There's a lot of buying opportunities because the Optimus thing is going to be huge. I just don't know how quick it's going to latch on. But it is the next Tesla type thing to get big. Because look at Grok, and the main Grok coin went to 130 million, I think. And the Optimus is at 1 million. Prometheus was absolute trash if you're old enough to remember when movies were good. Come on, man. That's a boomer statement. Come on. Only 6.6 trillion lost in the market over the last 2 days. You got that in your savings account? Yeah, well, they say these huge numbers like it's a scary thing. Like, oh, a total of $7 billion has been lost. Or $7 trillion. I mean, it's like, these people, come on. It went down by 5%. Let's calm down. Actually, what are the percentages? Obviously, Tesla's a lot worse, but 32% Nvidia. I mean, these did take a hit. These took a hit. These stocks took a hit. There's no doubt about it. You're in any of the big boys. There's, you got to shave. These got shaved. These are good buying opportunities. T-Mobile went up in the last 3 months by 13%. Impossible. All of them did. Verizon, AT&T. What happened to the Trump coin? It was dead on arrival. The Trump controls, and I guess Trump is going to be getting some of his supply, but Trump controls over 80% of the supply. The coin was dead on arrival. Is there a tariff coin? I think there's a lot of tariff coins. Yeah, I never found one personally. I never really looked for one. JP Morgan says it now projects a recession. Well, I mean, there seems to be overreactions with this. We'll have to see. I mean, let's see what the growth rate is in Q1. I think the growth rate's probably going to be positive, honestly. Why do you think gold went down today? Normally when stocks are not good, gold rises. Well, hasn't gold been going up like pretty much the entire last year? Will Trump rig it for Florida because he had Tim Tebow at the White House? But Florida in basketball? Florida, I mean, that's a good matchup, Florida-Auburn. Crypto handled the tariff dip well. So yeah, there really wasn't a crazy, I mean, like a lot of the big alts got hit, so people started bitching about it. But a lot of the alts didn't, like the small cap, didn't really get destroyed like we saw in previous tariffs, which is, it's interesting. Maybe it signals the bottom there, or at least the local bottom. We've been in a recession, but it was uncalled during the Biden. Well, yeah, you remember they changed the definition of it, and that was real stagflation because we had inflation during that, and it was back to back. And they never labeled it any of that. I mean, that was a really bad economic situation when you had the inflation numbers were high and you have back to back. It was very slight and negative because they tried saying, well, technically we don't classify a recession as 2 negative growth months. It's more so just the overview of the economy. And because both of the quarters were, barely negative growth, they said, well, we're not going to classify it as a recession. But I mean, if you look at the definition of a recession, it was a recession. But I mean, this is where it's like, well, does it really matter? But I mean, the problem with Biden is this wasn't a recession now versus a recession then. There was no reset then. The inflation was still high. They were trying to stimulate the economy, and it was still, the growth was still slow. Now it's an official reset. Oh man, he's talking about it. He's talking about investors in the stock market. I mean, come on. Come on. Tariffs are taxes, and Americans are paying the price for $5,000 hikes on cars to $10,000 more for a new home, 70 cents more for new gas. I mean, like, where are these numbers even coming from? We don't even know the actual tariffs that are going to be going into place on certain countries. See, this is the problem. He says all this stuff, and it's like, well, what if Trump negotiates with some countries to where the tariffs don't happen? Then do the numbers change? The whale enters. Sean, I appreciate it. That's a nice $29. That's a tariff right there. There's a tariff for me. Would you agree that Toronto is the most liberal city in North America? I don't know. I've heard Vancouver is like radical left, and it's like along the coast, so it's even more. But Toronto is certainly very liberal. The whale enters. But I mean, these are just normal weak liberal talking points like, oh, everything's gonna go up. Well, no, we have to bring the manufacturing back to the United States. But again, we don't even know what Trump is actually going to do in terms of these tariffs, whether or not they're going to be negotiated off or whether they're going to stay in place. So it's all propaganda when they say these numbers because they don't know. You can't know. Check 10-year yield. Yeah, I know. I did a video on it. The 10-year yield is going down. It needs to keep going down. Hopefully it does. And then we'll for sure have to get lower rates. For sure. Saying if you like tariffs, you are a smooth brain means you have a smooth brain. Tariffs are neither good nor bad. They're a tool, and you have to judge them in the context of their use. Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it is a level response. And no, I agree. I think tariffs can be good, and they need to be utilized. But the liberal talking point mainly is, well, now it's just mass hysteria with liberals, but it's like, well, you should target specific sectors and industries, and it seems like a lot of the liberals are outside. I mean, Rand Paul isn't, but a lot of the liberals are for like the auto industry with tariffs and what Trump was doing there, but they don't like the widespread tariffs on everyone. But again, I think a lot of these are probably going to be negotiated off of. But I mean, right now we're seeing like the worst of it, where everyone's pissed off, they're angry because their stocks are down, they don't have money. So I understand why everyone is mad. I get it, but it's like I have to react to this with the information we have now, and me telling people will just wait. It's not sufficient for some of these people. They're just angry about they see Trump go into office and everything goes down, even though if you look back when Trump won, everything went up immediately because it was very bullish. But I mean, there's going to be so much bullish stuff that happens over the next few months with these wars ending. Well, actually, I can't say that anymore because of Iran. But I mean, that is a big war. If the Ukraine war, if we get that ended, that's a big win. Best tariffs are 0-0, aka free trade. We've been getting destroyed on free trade. It's not free. The problem is these other countries have different standards when it comes to worker rights and producing goods. So we're fucked. It's not free. If we had the exact same standards in terms of how things were produced, yes, we could do it. It's free and fair. But it's just not like that in other countries. And so we realize it finally, and it's like, well, of course we're going to import all this shit. It's cheaper because they can make it cheaper because they make it in ways that are not legal in the United States. Paul Vier is going to blow a 28-3 lead. It's bad, man. It is. We'll have to see. I mean, and again, we're going to start thinking about Alberta and all of that if he loses. Chocolate pudding, dude. I haven't had pudding in forever. Pudding is not too bad. But I just haven't had it in like years. It's like when you're a kid, you eat pudding, and then in those cups. And when you get older, you don't partake in that type of dish. What is pudding? Like, do adults eat pudding? Is pudding an adult's item? I think when you're a younger kid, you eat the pudding, but not when you're an adult. I don't know. First country to get tariffs removed, it'll be Israel. No, I'm just kidding, man. Now, Trump's been hard on Israel with tariffs. Guys, but I know there's some people in the chat. You want to know something, guys? Trump is standing up to Israel. What do you think of that? Do you like that? Trump, did he golf? Did he golf with Kai Trump? Dude, you guys, I mean, come on. Kit Kat is the best snack. Kit Kat. Yeah, Kit Kats are good. I mean, Reese's are good. There's a lot of, a lot of that candy's good. Twix are good. Although I don't know, I've started to kind of come off of Twix anymore. I don't think Twix are nearly as palatable as I originally when I would love Twix. Now I don't eat them as much. But I don't eat a lot of that stuff. But I do like Reese's. Everyone does. Quebec and Alberta referendums. Yeah, well, Quebec, what would they be, an independent country? We don't want Quebec joining. If Iran acquires a nuke, do you think Trump will strike them? They can already make a nuke. I mean, people say they already have nukes. I don't know. I mean, it's going to escalate, and there will be a strike by Israel probably, or it'll be a operation between the United States and Israel to strike the nuclear facilities of Iran, and then they'll say, well, we tried to negotiate, they didn't want to do it. How much tariffs did he put on Israel? The 17% tariff. Trump will lose the midterms. The economy looks like it will be in a recession. Well, I mean, I think it's important to understand this is a snapshot, right? So think about the context of midterms, and people are dooming, and that's fine. I mean, but there's no real point in doing it when you're talking about we're not even into the summer, and then there's going to be a whole year, and then next summer, and then we start preparing for the midterms. We've got a very long way away. We're going to be getting a Fed interest cut, whether it's in 2 months, 4 months, whenever it is. It's coming before the spring of 2026. So that will immediately stimulate the economy and cause for more bullish price action. So the idea that we would be sitting here talking about the midterms, because I heard some people, oh, we're going to lose the midterms now. The midterm, you're not. It's way too early to say anything like that when it comes to the economic situation, because we have so much good news in the pipeline, and there's a reason Trump is doing this right now and not a year from now. So this can all happen when it's an off year. Counter cheap labor standards overseas to automation to some extent. Yeah, but people are not going to like that. But I mean, people are going to have to get over it because it's going to happen either way. I mean, I think it's coming no matter what. It just depends how advanced we have, the robots. Tariffs is like a VAT the Euros put on. Did you watch that clip of Howard Lutnick? He was talking about that. Yeah, you're right. Mexico was cooperating. The original 25% tariffs, Canada was crying about it. Well, I think with the Canadians, it's a lot more performance because they have an election upcoming. And so for them, it's very important to galvanize against Trump. And the Liberals can use that to galvanize against Paul Vieira as a proxy to Trump because they're both conservative. Even though Trump's more conservative, obviously. Have you watched Snow White? I never watched it, no. Why is Rand Paul against Trump's tariff policies? Rand Paul is more libertarian, and there's an immediate effect they have on especially the state of Kentucky because of the auto tariffs. Some of those auto tariffs are so bad because their parts get shipped back and forth several times. So they're getting dinged multiple times with tariffs, and it's just too expensive. But I mean, that is something that really, it is a short-term sacrifice. There's no doubt about it. It's going to raise prices. So he's pissed off about that. Will you run for Congress in 2026 in Ohio? Yeah, I'm running against Vivek. Oh man, no, obviously not. This is getting hard to defend at work. Well, the people are reacting to the stock market. The people that you're probably talking to are reacting to the stock market and say, "Well, look, this is just a small snapshot." And to talk to normies like that, you have to really hit them with the manufacturing and how we've gotten screwed by China and just it's really just listen to the point that I just made about fair trade. How is it fair trade if they have different labor laws? They can just undercut our markets extremely easily. It's never fair trade. Fair trade in terms of what? They can produce things cheaper because they don't have the same labor laws as we do. And I mean, obviously, they've got a lot more factories. They can mass produce things faster because of the amount of population they have. Since Trump tariffed every country in the world, it forces everyone to come to the table and negotiate a better trade deal with the U.S. China understands the U.S. is the largest market customer. Well, I mean, they better understand that. Obviously, they understand it, but they just hit us with a tariff back. But I think, with Trump doing it across the board, the administration can swing this as a very big net positive in terms of when these negotiations start happening and trickling in and you start negotiating with some of these countries. I think eventually it'll be a very big net positive. Emergency rate cut? Probably not. He said they weren't going to do it. Powell said they weren't going to do anything quickly in terms of a cut. But honestly, we could use a cut right now, or we could use a cut, what is it, May 7th? Maybe we will get the cut on May 7th. I don't know, man. I think everything has to cool down over these next few weeks and see what Trump ends up doing. It can help rebuild the middle class also. The tariffs will certainly, that's another byproduct thing, but people don't want to hear that right now because of how bad the markets are. But it is a long-term investment. What's Cory Booker's favorability rating? I don't think they release a poll for Cory Booker. Nobody cares. Vivek was very insulting, gaslighting Americans about outsourcing jobs to India. Yeah, that kind of sunk him at least. I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of people that like him. Trump still endorses him, so the MAGA group still likes Vivek for the most part. But there's a lot of people, especially that are conservative, that don't like Vivek because of his opinion on the H-1Bs. IRS to fire 25% of staff. Well, you know that number that they've been bringing up now with the IRS? Dude. So what they've been saying is, because of what the IRS does in terms of hunting down, doing audits, and getting people to pay their taxes, for every IRS employee that gets hired, for $1 of their salary, the IRS gets back, it's like $5 to $12 is the number. I mean, this is the new, and the liberals, I heard this a few weeks ago first, but they've been saying this for a while, and then recently they've been really saying it about the IRS. But then they're like, well, it saves all this money. But dude, if you're hiring 87,000 IRS agents, there's no way in hell you think that even 20% of those agents are going after very wealthy people, because very wealthy people make up such a small percent. They're auditing. It's all the middle class. All the middle class. That's who they're going after. With all of those agents, 100%. There's not enough rich people to even, 87,000 agents. How do you think Trump should handle Iran? Preferably to negotiate a nuclear deal, or if it doesn't happen, Trump needs to tell Israel, we've done all we can do, and we're not going to escalate the situation any further. We're not going to endorse a strike. If you guys strike their facility, that's your call. We're not going to endorse that, and we have to leave the region, unfortunately. But we're going to try and work out this deal. Yes, I ripped it up because Trump ripped up the nuclear deal, but now we're going to do a new one, and we're trying to keep peace within the region, and maybe it can get worked out. You felt lame about picking all 4 seeds to make the Final Four, but now your bracket ranking is thinking, yeah, I mean, you got to be 99 percentile if you get that. But it just depends who wins the national title because so many. I mean, I had 3 out of the 4. Youngkin president would flip Virginia back red. He should get the nom just for that alone. Youngkin, I don't think Youngkin is nearly aggressive enough from a conservative perspective now with where the party is with MAGA. He's too milquetoast. But, I mean, Youngkin is liked, and he could appeal to independent people for sure. I don't think he would turn out a lot of the Trump base at all, though. They're just so low propensity. I mean, it's different because it's the general election and stuff. I get it. I don't know. I understand what you're saying with Youngkin, but you got to be careful with these governors that have good state approval ratings. When they go national, it's a different ballgame. Trump is helping young people buying houses, but boomers get hurt because of stocks. That's why they hate him. Yeah, well, certainly it's the 401ks. And I saw something under 40% of people have 401ks anyway. So it's like, it's these we understand if it goes down, but it's like, these are long-term investments. Just because it goes down a few days, a few weeks, a few months, it's, we saw a significantly worse situation in 2022. That is true stagflation. I mean, we had high inflation and very low growth, actually negative growth. Thoughts on Eric Adams? I think Eric Adams, I'm not sure what he did in terms of there's some certain crimes he committed. Now he's an independent. I don't know exactly. I think Trump was going to pardon him or he pardoned him, and now Eric Adams is running as an independent. Is the media making up numbers on tariffs regarding every country to the U.S.? They are saying it's way lower than what Trump was showing. Well, the media has been manipulating people, but what happened is, the number that Trump showed was the trading deficit with the countries. That's what it was. It wasn't the tariff the country has on the United States. But the media does this thing like, oh, we got you because Trump, lied about this. No, I mean, we knew it was not the tariff, but it's just this constant thing with the media and just this double speak and this obsession with Trump and just this liberal orgy with the media. It's just every day they hate Trump, and it's just, we're just getting sick of it. So they're talking about, well, it's not this, they actually don't have this tariff. Yeah, everybody knows that, but it's the deficit. I mean, do you think it's a good thing that we have this crazy deficit with these countries? They all have surpluses on us. I mean, come on. This is unhealthy. Your reaction to Kamala's and Obama's criticism of Trump? I never heard of it. They say, well, oh, Trump's bad for tariffs. That's what they said. I don't know what they said. It doesn't really matter to me. Cory Booker is pathetic. Yeah, Cory Booker was out. I mean, it's just absurd. He goes out for 25 hours and speaks, and it's just, it is performance art. That's what it was. I mean, it's down a bit. Where was this? Oh, yeah, then they do this. Oh, the first 100 days. Yeah, this is good. I mean, this is good, actually, because it's a reset. Like, oh, it's bad. And then this crypto little boy who's like, oh, yeah. But this is what these people do. They just, it's like Kyle Kalinske with the dyed hair. He just tweets out these like third grade memes that don't even make sense. And then conservatives get all triggered. It's like, just don't respond to him. He's like a 2-year-old with memes, just tweeting him out constantly. And then these guys like Blue Sky Handle, and it's like just this liberal cess, just crap. Yeah, here it is right here. I mean, this is, come on. Like,
to call to the conscience of this nation, to say, I will not stand for another American to lose their health care for a billionaire. I will not stand for another veteran who's dedicated to stopping the suicide of other veterans to lose their job. I won't stand for the air quality in my community to be made worse because they're letting polluters pollute more. I won't stand for the collective assaults on the Constitution by a man who even the highest judge...
What about Gavin Newsom assaulting it and going behind Trump's back with that trade proposal?
In our land, a Republican-appointed judge said, stop threatening and bullying other branches of government. When is it
This
going
is
to
horrible.
be enough? My
This is a mockery of the Senate floor.
voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. We have changed history. We have bent the arc of the moral universe. And now is that moral moment again. It's the moral moment again.
"25 hours of content." Well, like it's just it's like acting classes with him. This is all fake. This is all there's no real passion behind this. How can there be? He's going on for 25 hours to try and get the headlines, and he's like, this will help fund my 2028 campaign. I want to run in 2028. I want the spotlight. So all these liberals, we're starting to see some very selfish liberals with Newsom and Booker and Jasmine Crockett. They all want that. So they're all fighting each other to try and get like the #1 liberal new leader. And so you can see how it's materializing with these people. They're all fighting. They're like fish. They're like dead fish flopping around. Who's going to be the leader of the loser party? Well, we'll have to see. I mean, they're all fighting for it right now. AOCs are just obnoxious. Although I haven't heard much from AOC recently. Maybe that's just because I haven't been looking. South Carolina won, what, the women's tournament? I don't know about that, man, honestly. Notice how if the stock market goes up, Democrats will say the rich are getting richer, but if the stock market goes down, they will say Trump is hurting the economy. Right, there's no winning with Trump, but we understand that, and that's why it's just more of a mockery of Democrats. So, that's why Democrats realized that we didn't really take their criticism seriously, and they started doing the psyop where they're like, well, Trump supporters even regret voting for him, and they created this fake thing where it's like Trump supporters regretted it because they realized nobody actually cared what they said because it's the boy who cried wolf with them. They hate Trump whether the stock market goes up or goes down. You're right, absolutely. The stock market goes up, he's just enriching all the billionaires and the corporate. So there's no winning. There's zero winning if you're Trump with these people. So why would we care? Their opinions, they're completely biased. We had actual stagflation under Biden. That is true. Don't believe me? Go look at the inflation rate coupled with the growth in 2022. There wasn't even a bill on the floor to filibuster. Right, I know. It was more he just wanted to do it and say that I had the #1. It's for the internet, right? So we can trend on X and it's all this stuff. Most frustrating thing is the average people think 36 trillion isn't a big deal. Why do Americans have such unhealthy relationship with debt? I know. I hate any debt. I hate any debt personally, and I think it's a terrible, terrible thing, especially considering, the default and everything that we're going to be up against within the coming years if the debt continues to balloon like this. And so, I mean, the debt is kind of a separate issue, but it can be a help, as a byproduct with tariffs if you generate revenue and you use that against the debt. I thought it was 37 trillion. People have been saying it's 36. Maybe it's in between, but I mean, it keeps going up every single day. Either way, the debt, until you get a budget surplus. I don't know if they'll be able to achieve a budget surplus. It's going to be very hard. We'll see how much the Department of Government Efficiency ends up saving. Pam Bondi is only doing what Trump wants her to do. Well, that's kind of when you appoint someone in administration. Yeah, they're beholden and loyal to the president. So, Johnny, thank you for that. Gas prices have been around $3.39 per gallon since November. They never really went down here in Anchorage. In Alaska, wow. And now they jumped to $3.59. Is that because of the tariffs or is there something going on? Well, no. Gas fluctuations are based off of previous prices. I think your gas prices are probably going to go down. It's very dependent on the region, though. In Alaska, it's probably a little bit different. But there's a lag effect when it comes to oil, crude oil prices, and the prices at the pump. Because when they refill, that's when the new price gets priced in. So I think it'll probably go back down. But even I've noticed, like, the crude oil will go down, and then even within 2 or 3 weeks, my gas prices will go up. So it's all, the general sense is if crude oil goes down, our gas should go down. And that's generally how it is. But you can't take it 1,000% because it depends the region, it depends where you're getting the gas from and things like that. We had gas under $3. Alaska, I feel like that's not a terrible situation there. $3.59. But I don't know what your gas prices normally are. Ours were like $2.89, $2.99. Now they're like $3.19. Yeah, that's why I rounded up to 37. If it's 36.68, 36 and a half, 36 and 6/10, whatever you want to say. 7/10, I guess. Remember the eggs? Yeah, the egg price. What happened to the egg prices? Well, let me tweet that out. What happened to egg prices? Any liberals want to say anything about egg prices? I'm interested in their opinion on egg prices for sure. You want a shout out? What do you want me to shout out exactly, man? You want the money back from Zelensky? Well, Trump's trying to do it with the minerals deal. So, I don't know where that situation is. It seems to be stuck in the mud right now, the minerals. Too many people simping out here. It's like any semi-attractive politician, the chat's just gonna go crazy if I mention anyone. Egg prices are still $4.98. Well, it takes time, but it depends where you live and so there's gonna be different prices in different areas, but obviously they are going down. Yeah, look at this. Look at this, and look at the inflation numbers here too. Oh, that's with crazy high inflation as well. In that's like Q3, Q4, 2022. There might still be another little drop. They use these numbers. This is negative $10 trillion. Oh, it's $10 trillion. It's a reset. But now the Republicans are all using this meme. IRS to fire 25% of its staff. But no, they say that if you hire an IRS agent, for every $1 of their salary, they bring in $6 or $7. Well, yeah, when you investigate mom and pop, shops, and this is, it's all these audits on these people. It's just unnecessary. It's just a total infringement. Thoughts on Social Security being insolvent during the 2030s? It's like a complete Ponzi scheme and racket, in your opinion. It's terrible. And it's an untouchable issue, too. Think about it. Social Security, see, I saw a Fox News interview. They said it was 2035. Well, now the projections say it's 2034. They're only going to be paying out 73% of the amount that's due for retirees, because we don't have the workers. The workers right now, we're paying for the Social Security. We will not have the workers. There's so many old people because with modern medicine, old people are living longer. So there has to be a restructure. The libs are going to try and tax people more. That's how they're going to try and pay it. We can't do that. We're not going to tax people more, but they're going to swing it as, we have to tax people more. That's how we're going to pay for the Social Security. The structure of it has to be redone. It has to be redone. The money has to be invested in more risky places, and it's not risky like, we're talking about, NASDAQ or S&P. It's nothing crazy, but it has to be. If we invested Social Security into that, we would be trillions of dollars in surplus within the Social Security fund. but we're not. And there's not enough workers to cover these people. There's a lot of people living longer, obviously. So it's a big problem, but you can't really discuss that. It's a radioactive topic politically, because if you talk about, I mean, that's the thing is Musk, Musk is obviously trying to manage all of this and using everything, looking at all the graphs and everything. And he's like, well, you know what? We have to look at entitlements. Entitlements are the biggest expenditure. We're looking at, obviously, the military budget as well. But Social Security is a total mess. And so and then that was really early on in the administration. That was maybe like 2 weeks in. And then it immediately goes to Musk is trying to take away Social Security, defund it, get rid of it. So then the administration's like, all right, we're just not going to talk about Social Security. We can't talk about it. Because they're just gonna format it as like we're trying to get rid of everyone's benefits. Your portfolio went from 53K to 48 in a few days. Well, listen, you wouldn't believe the stuff that's happened to me in crypto. I mean, I'm not trying to, but it's a lot more than that. How come Dems care about Social Security, Medicare, and veterans? It's not about caring or not caring. It's about the reality of the entitlement. We have a huge problem with entitlements and wasteful spending in Medicare and Medicaid, for sure. The amount of waste in those areas, but we what do we do about that? You're gonna have to attack it. They say there's around $200 billion in waste in Medicare and Medicaid. Now, if you try and attack it, it becomes a problem. People who look at their short-term market losses and freak out are clowns, especially when with some of us, like me, you have to just take it. We just take the losses and it's whatever. Because the thing is I used to bitch, but now I don't bitch anymore about it. I mean, everything's bottomed out at this point. I don't think things can go much lower for me. So I don't bitch about it anymore, and people don't want to hear me bitching. Oh my god, man. That's, I mean, I don't know how to react to a comment like that, brother. Billy Bob. Do you still have the streaming streak? Yeah, it's day 69. Israel wants to drag the U.S. into a war with Iran. Yeah, that's why Trump is standing up to them and saying we're not going to do that. That's why they're negotiating this nuclear deal. Volvo saying they're going to move over more SUV models. It's already working. Yeah, it's more production in South Carolina, more production in the United States. Transgender mice funding is crazy, laughing when Trump mentioned it. Yeah, they tried to argue that no, it was actually not for transgender mice. It was something else, like with their brain patterns or something. Liberals tried arguing that that it wasn't for that. But I immediately knew when they set up the Department of Government Efficiency, they were going to find some crazy shit. And they tried to like refute some of it, but it is funny. You're 27 years old and understand that it is extremely unlikely that you receive Social Security when you're in your 60s. Yeah, I mean, well, dude, whether it's a 401k or if it's a long-term investments, that's what you really need to be reliant on, is that type of stuff, rather than getting Social Security, especially for younger people. Especially considering we're gonna have to find an avenue to do this, because it's gonna be insolvent, like you said. Who is winning the 2025 Natty? OSU repeat? It's very hard to repeat. I don't think Ohio State's going to repeat, honestly, just because it's very hard to do. I mean, I could see, although I don't know, Texas is replacing their QB. Kind of feels like it could be Texas's year. It always felt like it was going to be Ohio State's year, like the last 3 years, because they were always so good and they hadn't won one in a while. But it could be like a random team, like what the new 14-team playoff it's going to be, or is it a 12-team playoff still? It is a 12-team, but they're going to switch to a 14-team already. They're switching. Do you swing trade, day trade? No, I don't. Well, I'll do trades in crypto. No, I don't do any stock market stuff. You think we should raise the Social Security age to 70? Well, you understand that's extremely unpopular. I know that's that's an avenue around it, is if you raise the age. But dude, then you're talking about when is retirement for people? That's a dystopian future. 70 is retirement. I don't know, man. I mean, I guess if people are living healthy and longer to adjust for it, but again, you have to understand that's extremely unpopular. Millennials and below are fucked. Yeah, I mean, the avenues just in terms of these people going to college and automatically being in debt, and then the job that you get off of it is like a fucking internship. Oh. Why did you stop the streak? Just because you know, sometimes I don't want to stream, honestly. It's, you know. And plus, it's just, the streams do require a level of energy and things like that, so it's like, and they get stale if you keep doing them for too long, I feel like. Did you see what Ben Shapiro said about tariffs? No, I didn't see it. People have told me that he's been very critical of Trump. He should be very happy with Trump. Trump's been really supportive for Israel. That takes a lot of nerve from Shapiro to come out against Trump after everything we've seen with Trump and Israel. That's all I'll say. If he's really against these tariffs. Stock market and crypto investing are way more reliable income compared to Social Security, like you said. Well, I don't know if crypto is reliable. I mean, it depends what coins you buy. But I mean, in terms of like, you know, I don't know how reliable crypto can be for the next 20 or 30 years. You know, stock market, I could agree. I mean, but I like crypto because it's you know, it has the potential to go crazy. Stock market really doesn't. You get really wealthy quickly off crypto. Trump is a good boy for Israel. I don't like that, but besides that, I like the tariffs. You just prefer military invasion into Greenland and Canada. Well, you can't do that. I mean, it's not, that won't go over well if you do a military invasion, especially into Canada, but also into Greenland. You know, the Greenland stuff, it's just, there's just an optics problem for Trump with Greenland right now. And the administration's going to have to solve it through, you know, honestly, bribery. I mean, I don't know. Bribe their officials. I mean, you've got so much more money than these people. Do you believe the rumor that Trump got tariff strats from ChatGPT? No, the government, the administrations don't use models like that. They have more advanced AI formulas. Everyone uses AI. All the top governments use AI for strategies. But they have their own formulated models that they use. What the hell happened to the Reds? Dude, I saw that. How do you lose 3 straight games? That's actually impressive. They lost 3 games in a row, 1-0. So, I mean, that's really good pitching. It's almost impossible to have that good pitching and that horrible offense together for 3 straight games. Imagine they lose another. Well, I don't know. Maybe they scored tonight. They lose 4 straight games, 1-0. Bro, what even is that? 20,000 Vietnamese dollars? That's a hefty sum. Day before you ship a sum of Viet products, 40% tariff. Yeah, they got hit hard. You know, I saw they were negotiating down. I don't know if it's going to go through, though. Vietnam. They're down 1-0. You're trolling. Oh, you're trolling. Vance visited Greenland. They'll be ready to join in 28. Well, that's... Vance was not received warmly. But, I mean, that can change. It can all change. I mean, you just have to bribe them. Bribe their officials. The officials will get the citizens on board. It's a small population you're dealing with. It can be done. Imagine if Trump transformed the U.S. back into the industrial powerhouse like in the 50s and the 60s. Well, I mean, it's a problem with the declining birth rates we have now. You know, the workers. But, I mean, we want more U.S. production for sure. I don't know if we're going to get that level. I'm not sure it's attainable. When is Epstein part 2? I don't know, man. I've been waiting for it. I'm getting pissed off. This coin is... I'm getting real angry now. Yeah, I'm not... No, it's still... It's the same shit it's always done. But, 401k. Well, yeah, guys, I mean, this is why I buy 401... Man, how did I miss this? Well, I mean, I miss all this shit. 4,000 to 800, 725k. Wait, what about that one coin? I think it's called Nipple. Dude, come on. It's not even on here. That coin was doing well, and I actually bought it. But it probably tanked now. Damn you. Disappointing. Disappointing. We needed to have a run. My bracket. 86 percentile. Well, listen, all I can say is if Houston wins, this will be 99 percentile. Eric Adams leaving the Democratic Party, going independent. Yeah, I discussed it earlier. You know, I think he's had some charges against him, and Trump pardoned him, so, you know, he's independent now. I'm not sure that's really too much of a, you know, crazy maneuver that he became independent after everything that went down with him. It's 78 cents. Oh, man. See, the people, they just... 78 cents is the donation that I got. But, I mean, isn't that's pretty much what always happens. That was Floyd AI. Did you see that? Did you see that AI video of George Floyd visiting India? It's a funny video. Eric Adams' grift begins. Well, I mean, now he's like, oh, I'm an independent. I'm not Republican. What website did you order the North Tower Lego set from? Maybe AliExpress. I mean, with the tariffs now, we might be, you know, in terms of ordering from there, pretty fucked. But there's other sites as well. You know, that's a big set, dude. I got 2 of those. That is a big tower. You know, you're not gonna find a tower like that. They got these other knockoff replica Twin Tower Lego sets, and you're not gonna find another one that like that's a. It's a huge. It's a large scale. It's a large scale replica. That's why I had it. It was behind me, and then I moved the shelf, so it's not there anymore. Luigi coin potential move if they actually give him the death penalty, 2.6 million mark. I mean, that's impressive that that coin is at 2.6 because that's actually like a decent community if you have it at like in the, because that's probably bottomed out at 2.6. Yeah, it'll probably, but I mean, what's the point? Like, what does it go from 2.6 to 15? Are you're down for like a 5x maybe, but I don't see the potential in that. A lot of Americans retire in Vietnam because they have a low cost of living and it's warm, like Asian Florida. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places like that have a lower cost of living that people go to. I know. Do you have a Roth or IRA? I don't. No, I don't. I have a pretty interesting investment strategy. How do we deal with APAC? That type of stuff is gonna have to die out. I mean, there's too many people within the administration. The entire Republican Party is pro APAC, so you really can't deal with it right now. In terms of actual leadership change, I mean, Trump's extremely pro-Israel, so there's not much you can do in terms of that. But it's more about the younger generation being educated on it. Floyd coin, I think it's Floyd AI is what it is. Shapiro, yeah, she probably is angry about the Israel tariffs. Well, Israel dropped all their tariffs against the United States in preparation and didn't want to be hit with a tariff, and then Trump hit him with a tariff. That's what happened. Thailand, yeah, Thailand's a huge one that people go to, I know. They're too close to the CCP. Yeah, I would really never leave the United States. I mean, obviously, who knows, when you're older and stuff like that, your perspective changes. But I would never really want to leave the United States. For someone who isn't in the stock market like they should, any serious suggestions on where to look? Honestly, I'm not in the stock market either. Um, but yeah, you financial planners, I guess. Find a financial planner. But I mean, that's pretty normy. If you want that, it's, they're all going to recommend roughly the same thing. It just depends your investment risk tolerance, things like that. It's the Christian Zionists who are the problem. They only support Israel because Jesus was there, right? It's the Holy Land thing, and that's the thing that Charlie Kirk argues is and it becomes this really crazy thing. Like, the United States is tied to Israel because we're Christian and we have to protect that Holy Land, and I guess that includes us funding, the bombing of killing of Palestinians. It's all really warped, honestly, and especially considering if you factor in Israel, the newer Israel being created in 1948, do we really have an obligation? The other problem is it's there's so much backlash with all those other Arab countries. I mean, that's one of the reasons. Obviously, there was a lot involved with 9/11. I mean, I've covered it, but Bin Laden said U.S. support of Israel and the treatment of Palestinians. Craigslist always yields great finds. Keep up the good streams. Benjamin, I appreciate that. Craigslist, do you like that? For Craigslist in terms of what? Just buying things or just rentals? They've got rentals on Facebook Marketplace now. It's interesting. Outside of Africa, Europe would be the last place you'd want to go. I mean, they're very poor in Europe. You look at, like, it is crazy. like the average salary and their homes and stuff, and people view that as a positive. I mean, that's just how they have to live in those cities the way they were. I mean, those are very, very old cities, the footprints of those cities. And so they're all extremely close together. I mean, I'm sure it's cool to visit, but yeah, living that lifestyle in some of those European cities is. What's your biggest cope? That my meme coins are going to go back up. No, I'm kidding, because I know they are. That Trump will stand up to Israel. No. My biggest cope? I don't know. I'd have to think about that, man. Thoughts on the fencing girl who kneeled in protest to fighting a transgender? I mean, these people we're just done with it. This is ridiculous. These biological males against females. It is 80% of the electorate, the country disagrees with this. Let's get it out. You know, it's obvious. And Trump is now not sending federal aid to Maine because I guess their state government is allowing that to happen. And he said it needs to stop. Would there be any BLM if George Floyd had not been handcuffed? Well, what do you mean if the situation had not happened? I mean, you could argue it would be something else. That would set it off, you know. But I mean, once it becomes like a trend when it comes to the rioting, and it happened everywhere throughout all the major cities throughout the United States, it became a huge trend. And because it was like this racial thing, Democrats didn't want to come out and say, "Oh, this is bad." So a lot of them were silent, because if you come out and say it's bad, then you're racist. You can't say that. Even though it's total destruction of property, and there's over $2 billion in property damage, and January 6th had 2 million, not 2 billion, 2 million, but BLM had 2 billion. 40K in the Netherlands is considered a good salary, and you're paying almost half the tax. Well, how about those countries? They talk about those countries like in Europe, and they're all like 98% white. They're like, "Oh, this is what we should model after." Number one, those people are all poor. Number two, you're right. They all paid 40%, 50% taxes. I mean, it's like, what are you talking about? And they're all very small countries. So it's not like, you know, when they have like very low crime statistics and all this stuff and good healthcare, it's so much more manageable. You were talking about different population sizes. But I agree. Our healthcare is so horrible. You guys wouldn't believe the numbers on our healthcare in terms of like the cost, the overall just livability in terms of how long life expectancy compared to other countries. The amount we spend versus our life expectancy is insanely horrible. Like it is like, but there is so much convoluted within the healthcare system, and so much that has to be stripped of it. It's like neither side really wants to commit. Like the whole thing needs to just be. I mean, don't get me wrong. The United States, if you have decent money or really good benefits, you can get good healthcare, 100%. Fast healthcare, way faster than Canada. But you're going to get price gouged if you don't have certain benefits or you don't have money. Maine is also 98% white. Maine, I don't think so. Maine is 90%, 98%. That's not, there's no way that's true. Europe is the perfect example. You ain't gonna own your own thing and be happy. Well, they're totally, you know, World Economic Forum, EU. I mean, the EU is turning into just a total puppet of like the WEF plan. Meanwhile, notice how the world is mad at Trump for implementing tariffs. Meanwhile, China releases COVID-19 and the world just forgets about it. How about all these dumb younger kids who are now like, oh, China, you know, iShowSpeed went to China. China's actually great. It's Western propaganda that says China is bad. And look, I understand the whole psyop with, oh, you know, they want you to blame China and not Israel. But no, China is not good. There's horrible poverty. They have terrible depression. They live on top of each other. Most of those people are very, very poor. They have extreme. I mean, China. I mean, this is how horrible communism is. This is the CCP. They're still called the Communist Chinese Party. In 1978, they're like, well, communism sucks so badly, we have to introduce like a mixed market and capitalism because of how fucking horrible this is. There's no money generation. But it still is very like, to be rich in China, you got to know people within the government. That just is what it is. But it's more mixed rather than being fully communist. Because I mean, there's no money flow with communism. It's just pure stagnation. Look at the Soviet Union. The amount of the power that the Soviet Union had after World War II was immense. And they just faltered away. IShowSpeed is a grifter. Asmongold loves him. Yeah, Asmongold's like, people say he's like this Ukraine simp. I don't know about him. But I mean, like, I've got nothing against Asmongold, but people in my chat say, no, he's obsessed with Ukraine. People were arguing against tariffs and manufacturing coming back to America. Well, they'll argue against anything that Trump does and say it's a negative. But dude, understand economics. There's always a trade-off. So when we argue this, we're really arguing two different things. We're just hoping that, both things are going to happen. There is going to be higher prices, but we're hoping that it's counteracted by either revenue from the tariffs or the domestic production. But obviously their argument is going to be correct to a degree, but my argument is also going to be correct because it's an economic situation where there's trade-offs. Any idea how to improve healthcare? Just caps on insurance premiums are going to, well, mixed system is the best. Mixed system, it's public and private. But I mean, the problem is, with our population, you try and imitate Singapore, who is the best healthcare on earth. You can't do it because their population is so much smaller, but they have a mixed system, public-private, and it would have to be something like that, but it also has to be, it's just the gouging. The gouging is really bad by the insurance companies, and there's a lot to it. Maybe I'll do a video, but it's very boring. Like, healthcare is extremely boring to discuss. I mean, I was looking that up like last night, actually, just how bad our healthcare is and what countries we can imitate to try and improve it. But the other problem is, I mean, when you've got these massive insurance companies, they're gonna buy off these politicians, and so the politicians aren't gonna want to implement certain things that go against so it's like a scheme. You see how well capitalism works in comparison, constant immigration? Well, it's a lot deeper than that. The immigration is because of the birth rate. If you want to blame capitalism on the birth rate, it's a lot more complicated than that. What you got from COVID-19 situation is China got a free pass to release the virus without any major repercussions. What is stopping them from doing it? Oh yeah, it's absurd. And the dumbass liberals still buy the same talking point. This is the problem, is because Trump called it the Chinese virus. They said it's racist. Well, it turned out to be 1000% true, the lab leak, all of it. But because they hate Trump, they can't really admit, oh yeah, China, they released it, and this is a big problem. But then they say we funded it with gain-of-function research, so then it gets past us. But it really is China. This is a Wuhan thing. It's Wuhan, China. They say it came from a bat. It came from the lab. Even 2 out of 3 liberal doctors within the Biden administration said, yeah, we can pretty much confirm it came from the lab. So when the liberal doctors confirmed it, but I mean, now it's like we're so far gone from that, and there's no repercussions for just a terrible. And then how about China? That's patient zero. Wuhan, China is patient zero. China in general is patient zero. They spread it all around, and then they lie about their COVID numbers. I remember looking at statistics in March of 2020, and China was like, we got 0 cases now. I'm like, wow, this is great. It doesn't spread. No, they lied about all their numbers. They blatantly lied. And those are the most important numbers because that's the first country that interacted with the virus. How's your portfolio looking? I mean, it's looking the same as it was. I mean, we didn't get a lot of drop from crypto, honestly, man. I'm not even coping. That's legit. We didn't. I mean, some of the top alts fell. The money flow really didn't affect the lower caps. Some of them got affected. Do you think a mixed system won't be well? We already kind of have a mixed system, but it has to be done right. I mean, we do have Medicare, Medicaid, but obviously it's not fully universal. I mean, like ideally, when you're talking about healthcare, a country as rich as we are, yes, you would like to say everyone should be covered, but I mean it's a lot more complicated than that, and we know how bad it is in Canada, where they've got the universal, and it's terrible. The doctor quality is terrible. The patient waiting times are horrible. There's always trade-offs, whatever system you want, so there has to be a proper balance when you do things like this. But I mean, the incentive structure in the United States, the way it's set up with insurance, is horrible. Dems accuse us of wanting to cut Social Security, but I think we actually should. But you can't do that. No, I agree with you. It needs an overhaul. Social Security needs an overhaul. Something has to happen to it. The problem is you have these people paying 6%. Well, the 6%, it's a tax, but they think they're entitled to it after a certain amount of time. And I understand because it was pitched to them as that. But it is a tax, like a federal tax. You don't get that money back, but they want the money back, obviously. It's a commitment. So when you cut it, it's a problem. But, the Social Security is costing us so much. Let's give these people money. Or you know what? The other thing that people say is, well, you should set up a separate account for healthcare for people. Just give them a healthcare account, and so they use that in terms of the money, and that's what Singapore does. But I'm not sure how that would work. I mean, we don't have people that are necessarily... I mean, if you forced it on everyone, I guess, as a tax, but, we don't want more taxes in this country, obviously. Do you know anything about Thomas Crook's parents? Not from. I mean, they just interviewed them outside of a. They tried interviewing them outside of a grocery store, and they didn't want to answer questions. That's the only thing I've seen about his parents. Thoughts on Steve Bannon going after Musk still? Well, that's the thing with it's a subsets of these people. It's Bannon and Loomer. They're jealous of people within the administration. Loomer recently got a meeting with Trump, and I think he fired 3 people because of that meeting, because she told him, these are, I guess, bad people that should not be part of the administration. But, Bannon is jealous of Musk. He wants to be closer to Trump. I understand the criticism against Musk. I get it. But, with these dynamics, what Musk has done is he has made a commitment to free speech. He has allowed us to say whatever the fuck we want on X. And that is valuable and is also very wealthy. And so if you can bring someone like that in, it's just the way it works in modern politics. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to end it. Cat Turner, Gunther, Eagleman, the Battle of the Boomers. The Battle of the Boomers. I don't know, man. Those, it's just too interactive. Those are influencers on X, huh? Will Trump get the credit if Hamas does end the war? And well, how does the war end? Trump wants them to be expelled from the region. I mean, if it's a two-state solution, I think it'd be the best situation. But then you're talking about another war in 2 years. So, did you see the gold cards? Yeah, Trump had the gold cards out. $5 million. We'll see how much money he can make off of them. I mean, that is pure revenue for the United States, but you're bringing in foreign people into the country that are going to have some power because they're obviously very wealthy if they can afford a $5 million gold card. Feminism killed the birth rates. Well, no, I agree. That is the true culprit. We all support Trump, but everything can't be in the pipeline. At some point, wins need to start coming in. Well, no, the reason I said it was in the pipe. What do you want me to say? These are strategical maneuvers Trump is doing right now. I can't sit here and end the war with Ukraine. It's a very complicated thing. It takes time to end these things, but it's all in the pipeline. So when it starts happening, it'll be an avalanche, and it'll just be a win after win. How about all these negotiations that'll probably happen? These are negotiations with certain countries that it's going to be deemed as wins and wins and wins. They're going to remove all their tariffs, and so all of this is we'll see what Trump does with the tariffs, but I think there's going to be a lot of wins in the future.